Jodi Arlen seemed perfect, but behind every smile and every carefully crafted post, a web of lies was quietly unraveling a secret that would change everything the world thought it knew about her. Jodi Arlen always appeared to live a life that others admired. Her social media accounts were filled with bright photographs, organized routines, and motivational captions that suggested everything in her world was perfectly planned. People who followed her believed she was confident, kind, and determined. But the life she presented online was very different from the one she lived in private. Behind every cheerful message was a growing pressure she placed on herself to maintain an image she believed she needed to survive. Her relationship with Evan Marshall seemed flawless from the outside. He was successful, steady, and known for his calm personality. Their pictures together showed them smiling during weekend trips, cooking at home, and celebrating milestones. Yet if anyone looked closely, they might have noticed something off in Jodi's eyes, something slightly too controlled, as if she wanted to prove to the world that her life was better than it actually was. When Evan was suddenly found dead in his quiet townhouse, nothing about the situation made sense. He was careful, predictable, and the type of person who avoided conflict. His home, usually neat and structured, was left in a disarray that investigators instantly recognized as unusual. It didn't match the peaceful routine he lived by. Something had disturbed the order he valued. Detectives reviewing his recent activities noticed Jodi's name appearing repeatedly in messages, schedules, and reminders. She had been closely involved in nearly every part of his life, often more than people around them realized. What felt strange was how calm she appeared when questioned about her last days with Evan. Her words were steady, her expression controlled, her emotions almost too polished for the situation. The deeper investigators dug, the more they saw cracks in her perfect facade. Many of her claims did not match documented facts. The confident way she described her whereabouts felt strangely practiced. Her social media posts around that time seemed overly cheerful, as if she were trying to distract from something underneath. Little details she shared about her daily routine shifted slightly each time she repeated them, revealing fractures in a story she clearly hoped no one would challenge. By the end of the first week, what looked like a simple tragedy began turning into a complicated puzzle. And at the center of it stood Jodi Arlen, smiling in photos, polished in public, but surrounded by a growing cloud of unanswered questions. Jodi Arlen's version of events seemed solid at first glance. She explained her day with careful detail, listing every place she went, every errand she ran, and every hour she spent alone. It sounded almost too complete, as if she wanted to leave no room for doubt. Investigators noted how confidently she described each moment, but the more they examined her claims, the more they discovered gaps she could not easily explain. The timeline she provided began to fall apart when they checked surveillance footage from the stores she said she visited. Some cameras showed nothing, while others revealed she never arrived at the times she insisted she had. In several cases, she wasn't there at all. It raised the first major red flag. It wasn't that she got the times wrong, but that she had described events that simply did not happen. Her phone records added another layer of suspicion. According to her story, she spent most of the afternoon at home, but her phone signal traveled across multiple towers during the hours she claimed she wasn't driving. One tower placed her far outside her usual area, while another placed her heading toward a neighborhood she denied going anywhere near. Each ping contradicted the steady routine she was trying to present. Investigators also reviewed traffic cameras along major roads. They found several images of a car matching hers, moving through parts of the city she insisted she hadn't visited in weeks. Even her gas receipts suggested a longer drive than she admitted to. Bit by bit, these small discoveries build a picture of a day far more complicated than the simple story she had tried to sell. Friends of Evan added more pieces to the puzzle. While none of them suspected anything violent, many admitted that Evan had grown distant from Jodi in the months before his death. He had become quieter about their relationship, often avoiding conversations about her. Some said he looked tense when she appeared unexpectedly. These observations didn't prove anything by themselves, but they supported the idea that the relationship was far less stable than Jodi portrayed. By the end of the week, investigators realized her timeline was not merely inconsistent, it appeared deliberately constructed. Every corrected detail led to another contradiction. Each contradiction revealed another hole. The story she insisted was the truth was now collapsing under the weight of evidence that showed a different path, one she seemed desperate to hide. As investigators continued examining Jodi Arlen's past, they realized her life was built on shifting foundations. Every time they pulled at a loose thread, another part of her story unraveled. Her resume, which appeared impressive, contained jobs that didn't exist or positions she never held. Trips she proudly posted online were stitched together from photos taken months apart, sometimes even in different cities than she claimed. The more they searched, the more her carefully shaped identity began to look like a collection of borrowed moments. Evan's devices offered even more revealing information. His phone was filled with long messages from Jodi, many of them emotional and demanding in tone, though she publicly presented herself as calm and understanding. Weeks before his death, his messages showed he had started putting distance between them. He canceled plans more often, shortened conversations, and became increasingly guarded. It was clear he felt pressure from a relationship that no longer felt healthy. One piece of evidence stood out above the rest. Technicians recovered a handful of deleted photographs from Evan's digital camera. The timestamps placed them on the night investigators believed everything had changed. The images were unclear, taken in low light, but the silhouette captured in them bore a resemblance to Jodi's height and build. Her clothing in recent social media posts matched the outline in the pictures. Although the figure could not be identified with certainty, the similarity raised questions that Jodi had tried hard to avoid. Investigators also uncovered financial records showing unexpected purchases made just days before Evan's death. These purchases connected to equipment found near his home, items Jodi first denied buying. When confronted with the receipts, she changed her explanation, but her new version contradicted earlier statements. Each attempt to clarify only made her seem more entangled in falsehoods. Her online activity revealed another troubling pattern. She had searched for topics involving breakups, emotional manipulation, and monitoring someone's location. While none of these searches were illegal, they added weight to the growing suspicion that Jodi obsessed over controlling the narrative of her life and the people in it. By this stage, investigators no longer viewed her as a confused witness. She appeared to be someone who had spent years perfecting the art of shaping her world to match the image she wanted others to believe. But the closer they looked, the more they realized her confidence was only a mask. Beneath it, the truth was starting to show, and the person behind the mask was far more unpredictable than she had ever allowed anyone to see. The deeper investigators went into the case, the more tangled Jodi Arlen's lies became. At first, her explanations seemed like minor misunderstandings, but soon they turned into a maze of contradictions. Each time she tried to adjust her story, another inconsistency appeared. It was as if she was patching holes in a sinking ship, unable to stop the water from rushing in. Digital forensics played a major role in tightening the case around her. Specialists uncovered deleted location data from her devices that pointed toward Evanes' neighborhood during the exact hours she claimed to be far away. The pattern was unmistakable. Her phone had traveled along a specific route leading directly toward his home, then gone silent for several hours before reappearing miles away. The sudden gap suggested her phone was turned off or intentionally disabled. Her car also betrayed her. When investigators examined the tires, they found dust and gravel from a construction site less than a block from Evan's residence. This gravel had a distinct mixture of materials that was not commonly found elsewhere in the area. Even the condition of her car's engine showed signs of a longer trip than she had admitted to, contradicting her claims of staying home most of the day. Security footage from a neighbor added another critical piece. A vehicle extremely similar to hers passed by Evans Street late at night. The angle wasn't clear enough to show the driver, but the timing aligned with the missing hours in her timeline. Combined with her digital trail, the sighting made her denial harder to believe. When investigators traced financial records, they found a storage unit rented under a different name that matched one of Jodi's old online aliases. Inside the unit were items linked to the night of Evanes' death, objects she previously insisted she had never seen. Every discovery inside that small metal room chipped away at her carefully crafted identity and replaced it with something darker. Her social media activity also shifted during this time. Posts that once seemed cheerful now appeared forced, almost frantic, as if she were trying to distract herself from the growing tension around her. She liked inspirational quotes about strength, control, and overcoming fear, creating an eerie contrast with the reality unfolding behind the scenes. By now, investigators saw the pattern clearly. Jodi had not simply made mistakes. She had constructed an entire alternate version of events, hoping it would shield her from suspicion. But every lie she told only tightened the net around her, leaving fewer places left to hide and fewer explanations that made sense. The final stages of the investigation brought everything together in a way that left little room for doubt. What began as a confusing and emotional case had slowly taken the shape of a clear narrative, one built not from Jodi Arlen's explanations but from the evidence she tried so hard to bury. Investigators organized the timeline from start to finish, layering each digital trace, physical detail, and personal connection until the truth stood firmly on its own. When Jodi sat for her final interview, the confidence she once displayed was gone. The calm posture, the steady voice, and the practiced expressions were replaced by signs of strain that she could no longer hide. Her story had changed so many times that it no longer resembled the version she first shared. She tried to repair pieces of it, but every attempt only revealed how much she had altered before. Investigators watched her carefully, noting how she reacted as each piece of evidence was placed in front of her. Her turning point came when she was shown the reconstructed timeline. It was a simple chart, but it contained everything she hoped no one would connect: the deleted photographs, the phone signals, the tire debris, the storage unit, and the late-night sighting of her car. Every section of the chart overlapped with something she claimed had never happened. Her silence in that moment said more than any explanation she had offered throughout the investigation. The courtroom phase brought the story to the public. People who once admired Jodi's polished online personality were shocked by the hidden life revealed beneath it. The same traits she used to build her image: control, precision, and persistence had worked against her. They made her actions traceable, structured, and impossible to dismiss as coincidence. The truth she tried to reshape was now exposed piece by piece, and the polished version of herself she clung to had dissolved under scrutiny. When the verdict was read, there was no dramatic outburst. Instead, there was a quiet acceptance, almost as if she finally understood the consequences of the world she had built from lies. Her downfall had not come from one decision, but from the pattern of deception she relied on for years. What began as small attempts to manage her image grew into a dangerous web she couldn't escape. In the end, the case of Jodi Arlen became a chilling reminder that truth has a way of surfacing, even when buried under layers of falsehood. And for investigators, it stood as proof that the smallest details often reveal the biggest secrets.